Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another video. And for those of you that are celebrating Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. I currently do have some Thanksgiving plans, but I wanted to make sure that I got this video out for you guys as soon as possible because the brand new Sword Art Online movie, Aria of a Starless Night, will debut in theaters next Friday. And I've still got one more story arc for the Sword Art Online series to talk about, and it's the biggest story arc in the series so far. I don't know how long the final one's going to be, but as of right now in the US, we currently only have 2 books, whereas outside of the US, they're on like book 4 or 5. So yeah, but since I'm talking about the series in terms of anime, we are caught up with the final story arc that's been told in anime format so far, and that is the Alicization story arc. It's my favorite story arc in the entire series. I mean, I don't know what the final one's gonna bring in terms of the books, but it obviously hasn't been developed into an anime yet, so I don't know. But as of right now, the Alicization arc to me is number 1. And the arc is so big that I've thought it over about how I want to talk about it, and I've decided that I'm going to divide the Alicization arc into 4 videos because it's so big and how so much happens in between the season. I felt that that's probably the best way. So I'm just gonna have the videos titled Alicization Arc Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, and before that it'll say SAO Review, whatever part that we're still on, just because it's so big. And I know that there is another subtitle for the Alicization Arc entitled War of Underworld, and I'll explain when we get to that point, like when we get to War of Underworld, because it's all still part of the Alicization story, because I know it can be a little confusing, but I'll explain that when we go along. But as of right now, we're going to be diving into the first part of the Alicization story, and like I said, I might be getting into some minor spoilers, and then when we get to like the next part videos, I will be talking about major spoilers leading up to like what we're going to be talking about then, just to give you guys a heads up. But yes, the Alicization story. This is part 1 of the Alicization arc. The one thing that I will say right off the bat with this story arc is that it's the first time the series is actually, in terms of anime, been given a TVMA rating. That's right. You got to be mature to watch this season. For the past, the movie and the other seasons have been, I think it's been TV-14, but this is the first time that the series is actually, mature. I know, it's crazy, but the reason why it's now been upgraded to TVMA is because this brand new world that Kirito is now a part of, the world is more realistic. So in terms of like the violence, in the other games that he's played, if he were to like get a slash on his arm, there'd be pixels that would stimulate blood. But in this new game, or world I should say, if he gets cut, you actually see the full liquid blood come out. So that's mostly what it is. And anime, there's some cursing and whatnot and some suggestive themes and yada, 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 yada. But in terms of the story, and I gotta be careful how I do this because, again, so much, but I don't want to reveal too much because it's such a great story arc and I want you guys to experience it to the fullest. But after something happens to Kirito in the real world, he wakes up in this brand new world that is so realistic, he doesn't think it's actually a video game. He thinks it's actually real life. But when he discovers that it actually is a video game, he's quite stunned because he meets people that he thinks are computer programs, NPCs, but they act and behave just like real humans. And he befriends a brand new character by the name of Yu-Gi-Oh, who helps guide Kirito through this brand new world and learns that there is this girl that is friends with Yu-Gi-Oh named Alice that has been taken away from his village when they were very young because she broke a law in the Taboo Index, which is like the grand book of rules that you cannot break in this new world, which is called Underworld. So Alice has been taken away to the central cathedral and imprisoned and possibly sentenced to death. And Yu-Gi-Oh wants to go and try and rescue her, but he can't because he has to do his job in his village, and he can't leave until he finishes whatever he has to do. And Kirito thinks that where Alice is probably his best chance of getting back home. And then on the other side, we have Asuna trying her best to find out what has happened to Kirito, so on and so forth. I think that's pretty much all I can really get into in terms of plot, but that's generally what this first part goes into. Kirito's in this brand new world. He wants to help out Yu-Gi-Oh, find Alice, and Asuna is back in the real world trying to find out what the hell happened to Kirito. So that's in terms of story so far. Now the animation. It got a serious buff. It is probably right on par with the movie, where all the environments look absolutely beautiful. Definitely a lot more color in this story and season. Not to say that the series never really had a lot of color, but it was kind of faded from the Aincrad arc all the way to Mother's Rosario. It was kind of like, it was all right. But this one, the color really shines. It looks a lot more brighter, just really beautiful in general. And the fight scenes, because now that the show has been given a TVMA rating, the action is a lot more intense. It's a lot more violent. It gets a lot crazy because now that they're able to incorporate like an actual thing where real blood will come out of the character if they get slashed, and also this is the first game world where if Kirito gets cut, he feels the pain, because in the other games, I never really touched on this, but in the other games that Kirito plays, if he were to get cut, he wouldn't feel anything. Like, yeah, he'd see his health bar would go down, but he would never feel any pain. But in this new world, just one little he's gonna feel that, and it hurts. And it's a lot more intense than what we're used to, which I kind of like. I like it when stories can kind of go this way, where, we start off kind of easy, but, as the characters grow and progress, things get a lot more intense. And that's something that I do like, that the show was kind of, getting to me when we entered season 2 with the Phantom Bullet arc, is that, not to say the action wasn't bad, because the action was really good. But, this is, in the Alicization arc, it's our first glimpse of that these characters, they're growing up, they're getting much older, more mature, and they're going through a lot more challenges. And you can definitely tell, when you go back to the Aincrad arc and then jump all the way to the Alicization arc, you totally see the difference, and I like that. And that's not to say like I only like, dark, mature things, because you can tell a really good story with dark, mature elements, depending on how you tell it. But no, there's nothing wrong with, if you're TV 14, you can still tell a great story. But for me personally, I feel like sometimes when they go a darker route, it can either really enhance the story, make it more intense, make it more amazing, or who knows, depending on what the show typically does, it possibly could ruin it. But I think in terms of SAO, this is exactly what it needed, because even though I enjoyed everything so far, I won't lie, I can agree with the fans on some point that, season 2 wasn't as intense as season 1 was, but this takes it to a whole new level, which is something that I do like. And again, we get an entirely new soundtrack for this story arc that will continue to progress as we move along. That's just absolutely great. The theme music, the end music, it's all so great. Also great. Yeah, I think that's really all I can talk about this first part, because I know I'll bring up some of the other stuff in the other parts, but in terms of, the animation music wise, it's still going to be the same, so I'll probably touch upon that very briefly. But yeah, how am I going to rate this? Because it's only part 1 of this story arc that I'm telling. You know what? I think I'm going to hold off on my rating until we actually finish with the story arc, because, again, it's so big, and I don't want to have to divide it by individual parts. I think that'd be a little bit too much. So I'm going to wait until I completely finish the story arc to give it a proper grade. I think that's the best way to go about it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. Okay, so that is the Alicization Arc Part 1 video. I am currently off of work the next few days, so I do plan on getting Part 2 and Part 3 out there the next few days, with the final part coming out sometime really early next week. That's my plan. And then we have the brand new movie coming out on December 3rd. I can't wait to talk about that. I can't wait to see it. I'm so excited to see a Sword Art Online movie actually on the big screen. And I haven't decided yet. There might be a bonus review in there somewhere, a bonus first reaction, I could say. I just don't know if I'm going to commit and go to see something that I kind of want to talk about, because I think it might be a guilty pleasure movie, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I hope you guys enjoyed the first part in the Alicization arc. I can't wait to talk more about this because it's just so great, and we're going to have a lot more to talk about when we get to the other parts. But thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, and I'll see you guys next time.